All right, well, thank you, Altair, for putting on a great event. I think everybody could agree that this has been a fantastic morning, and I'm going to try to go quickly here and get you to lunch. So as mentioned earlier, I'm going to be presenting today simplifying your HPC System Software Stack with Intel HPC Orchestrator. And this really hits home for a lot of you as end users and as ISVs. And it's important to know what your options are, but really it's about you guys and how you're bringing applications to market that makes HPC relevant. And with that in mind, I was going to show a video here. We're going to go ahead and try that right now. When we think about HPC, we've had a lot of questions asked of us, of the open source community and really the whole entire HPC community, specifically around goals for the HPC ecosystem. And the way Intel looks at these goals are frankly around how we're going to get efficiency on the latest hardware. Certainly that's important to us. But also how the ecosystem is going to handle new and emerging workloads and the goals as it relates to that. And then easier testing at scale. These are all issues that have come up that we've heard about. You may have heard of some of these as well. And we've also noticed that there's been this fragmentation in the ecosystem around system software and even middleware stacks. And nobody's really putting money into that. So there's this void right there where, again, nobody's making that investment. And there's this desire to continue to move and get to exascale performance and then also drive those new workloads. And Thomas, thank you for bringing up our investment in AI. We actually have invested over $400 million with our recent acquisition of Nirvana in the AI space, so I just wanted to bring that up. So what did Intel do about this? We decided, we did a lot of research. We actually commissioned a study in 2015, and then we worked with the open source community and the Linux Foundation. We helped seed the initial bits into OpenHPC, and many of you might be aware of OpenHPC. And it's a vibrant open source community now. There's 30 members, and Altair is a member. Of late, Red Hat just joined, so it's a continually growing organization, and again, very vibrant in its scope. And that kind of flows into, along with our product, Intel HPC Orchestrator, which is a distribution of OpenHPC, into this, what we're calling the Scalable System Framework. So this is an idea here where you have the compute, the memory, the storage, the fabric, and the software piece all playing together to form a holistic vision for how systems are delivered in the HPC space. And this is one that is very near and dear to our heart now, so we're actively working with our customers to help deliver solutions around the Scalable System Framework. As it relates to OpenHPC, here are the members I mentioned. Again, a vibrant community by the Linux Foundation. And the governing board is in place now. The technical steering committee is in place. And numerous members are joining almost on a monthly basis now. Another thing that you'll notice that's unique here is that you'll see that this is platform agnostic or architecture agnostic. ARM is a member of OpenHPC, so they're actually looking at doing a distribution in OpenHPC as well. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that this is not just end user, this is not just supplier driven. A lot of these communities tend to be very supplier heavy, and there's a lot of the national labs are members of this, as well as really an international scope to OpenHPC. And as it relates to GitHub inputs, there's numerous organizations that are moving forward and continually putting new inputs into GitHub for OpenHPC, new requests for new components, et cetera. So what is Intel HPC Orchestrator? This is, again, our solution to as a distribution of OpenHPC, and it's really the pre-integration, pre-tested, pre-validated, and Intel-supported version of OpenHPC. It's basically everything, think of it, everything between the base hardware and the application layer. And this is what we see as really the big difference between OpenHPC, the 1.3 feature, roadmap here, and then what we are offering here from the 1.1 features. So again, that testing, the support, the validated updates, and again, Intel software. One thing I wanted to point out is we offer the Intel Cluster Checker, and this is really an expert diagnostic tool, and that's included in Orchestrator over and above what you would find in OpenHPC. And if any of you have ever used Intel Cluster Checker, it basically takes a snapshot of the cluster once the install is done, and then it actually has that as a comparable feature that you can compare your cluster with down the road after you've offered or input other software onto it. So it includes the baseline extensions, and that's a product that's you receive a license in perpetuity with Intel HPC Orchestrator for that Intel Cluster Checker. So when we talk about Intel HPC Orchestrator, we're actually talking about a family of products. And this basically encompasses the high end all the way down to what we would consider like an HPC appliance, like a turnkey appliance, and everything in between here. So we really feel like we have a pretty comprehensive suite of products that are coming out that'll be there for you as you move forward with your cluster. Again, we have right now launched our Intel HPC Orchestrator Advanced. This is really geared for that top 500 research and technical and enterprise user. What will be coming next is our Intel HPC Orchestrator Turnkey version. And then finally, our custom version, which will be coming out in late 2018 timeframe. And that is going to be very highly modular and customizable. And that's going to be something that is all command line based. I should say that also these two products, the advanced and custom, are command line based, and the turnkey version will actually have a GUI interface for install. So how does Altair play into Intel HPC Orchestrator? Well, what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've worked with Altair to include PBS Pro into Intel HPC Orchestrator. That is that you don't need to go out and renegotiate with Altair. It's already included in the product. So you can download Intel HPC Orchestrator as an ISO image and receive the Altair's PBS Pro as part of Intel HPC Orchestrator. So that's a huge benefit when you're deploying a system. It was one extra step that you don't need to worry about, and it's supported by Intel and supported by Altair. Again, as you look at this here, this includes all the different components. There's over 65 different components in Intel HPC Orchestrator that you're able to download as this ISO image, and again, make that install process on your cluster that much easier. So from a components list perspective, and I apologize for some of the marketing slides. I know that there's a number of those, but now we're getting a little bit more into the technical. You've got your base OS compatibility. You've got your administrative tools. So we offer, for system management right now, Ganglia and Nagios. We use an LMOD for the actual creation of the cluster. of the HPC Orchestrator. So it's modular from that standpoint. It's a tool that you're able to configure and put in new packages into Orchestrator. So again, it's customizable. From a provisioning perspective, we're using Werewolf right now. We're looking at other provisioning software provisioners down the road as well. Resource management, of note, we just added PBS Pro, so we're excited to be able to have that be an offering in Intel HPC Orchestrator. Had numerous customers asking us about that, so we're really glad to have that, be part of that. From the MPI families, OpenMPI, Intel MPI are included. And then you also, from the tools perspective, have a whole host of different performance tools. And then compilers, you also have the GCC compiler, the GNU compiler, Intel Parallel Studio XE, again, which includes an actual distribution for Python, too, the Intel distribution for Python. And now that's a 90-day evaluation license. But if you already have a license for that, this would just be, again, another convenience. You wouldn't have to obviously pay for that. But we do offer this as a 90-day license. But again, the Intel Cluster Checker tool is offered in perpetuity. So another thing that we did is we made it easier to install. Intel HPC Orchestrator is, again, command line based, so it's script based. And we've included now a README guide, an install guide. So it's much easier to install, and the documentation is far better than what you're going to find with OpenHPC. Some future things that we're looking at is actually, right now, we're working on a system monitoring manager, which will be coming out here later this year, is what we're looking at. But this will be a tool that will provide you a dashboard where you'll really be able to go into your cluster and determine how the cluster is being utilized, and you could basically customize your dashboard for your specific needs. So just to give you an idea of some customers that are actually using Intel HPC Orchestrator. So we've recently worked with Texas Tech University and University of Pisa, which you'll see again in the video when you open up your USB. And then I just wanted to highlight quickly, how Intel and Altair really have common goals for the HPC ecosystem and HPC systems. Specifically, we have that scalable system framework that I mentioned. And this is an example here of a simulation situation where you've got HPC with Altair's simulation software, and then really the business benefit to the end user, again, offering that affordability, accessibility, ease of use, time to market, et cetera. And then I just wanted to highlight a few collaboration highlights between us and Altair. So again, Orchestrator now includes PBS Pro. We have worked with Altair and a few other fellow travelers in Colfax and Fujitsu to have a remote access program. And that'll be launched here by those organizations. Colfax has already launched. And now we're also working on some internal lab projects with Altair. So there's a lot of work. Really, the point of this slide is that there's a lot of collaboration with Altair, and that we continue to work with Altair for a valuable partnership between both companies. Just a quick thank you to some of our trial customers. Again, Altair being right up there. And then just to highlight quickly that Intel HPC Orchestrator, our team is actually looking at how we're going to go ahead and implement Orchestrator and work with our customers as they burst or want to burst out onto the cloud. And specifically, what are the benefits of those cloud-based platforms that we're looking at, and how do we work with organizations like OpenStack to offer those extensions onto the cloud. And finally, I wanted to offer this to any of you that are interested. We have a 6-week free trial of Intel HPC Orchestrator that's available. You can contact myself and be happy to work with you to get that going if you're interested. And thank you to our partners. It's available right now if you have any interest in again, working with it. And again, the trial's available to you. So thank you very much for your time, and enjoy your lunch.